everyone. I'm here with Clare Base from Waffle Agency, and we're going to talk about the top social media trends that Clare's seeing at the moment. But first of all, Clare, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us how Waffle started?
Yes, of course. So I'm Clare Base. I'm a social media manager and sort of trained in that side of things. I've got a background in marketing communications and financial services for quite a few years prior to that. And basically I came together earlier this year with two fellow marketers, Chris Brown, who I know personally and through work, and Matthew Morris, who I've met through Chris. And we were all sort of doing our own kind of freelance thing, sort of in between jobs, and decided to kind of get together and pool our brains and our resources really. We all have a marketing background, but we bring quite different sort of skills and experience. So we thought it was a nice collaboration to kind of all form together and hopefully be able to sort of deliver more to companies than we could each on our own. So the idea of Waffle is basically to support other small and medium-sized businesses with their marketing activity, helping them to reach more customers and also grow their business. So this is quite often very small companies that either don't have a marketing function in-house, or perhaps medium-sized businesses that may have sort of one or two marketing people but need sort of a broader skill set than what they currently have. So the idea is that we can work with them on a freelance basis and provide services from social media to print to direct mail, lead generation, business development, and all sorts like that. And I guess sort of people are probably wondering why we're called Waffle. And I think we basically, having worked in various industries for numerous years and having a bit of experience behind our belt, we're very sort of focused on having a no waffle approach to what we do, you know, getting straight to the point, making things clear, easy to understand for clients and obviously our own customers as well. Yeah, just sort of offering straightforward, sensible marketing solutions to their problems. Yes, that's sort of it.
I love the name.
Yeah, and of course we love waffles. I mean, who doesn't?
Exactly. I had a science teacher who would write waffle on your piece, on your work, you know, if you'd gone off too much. Yeah, I always remember that. Kind of cut it out of me. So what are you seeing at the moment? I mean, people are really on social media at the moment, aren't they? I mean, it's like where everyone's hanging out. So what are the trends you're seeing, Clare?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, as we probably all saw last year, there was so much change on social media. It almost got, I think, quite overwhelming for a lot of people trying to keep up on top of the changes from obviously Instagram launching reels and guides, and Facebook and Instagram shops came about, and a lot of platforms just making changes to the way they sort of display and offer the various functionality. So I think the word on the street is there's going to be less change this year, apparently. And it's just really kind of getting people to maximise what's already there. So I think what we saw last year was with COVID and obviously the pandemic, there was a lot of businesses that had to quickly pivot and adapt and try and get offerings online that were perhaps small high street businesses and didn't have an online presence. So Facebook, for example, introduced the shopping side of things to enable those businesses to create an easy way to reach their customers online. So I think this year it's businesses continuing to do that. We know, you know, with any luck in the next few months, things will start to improve in terms of pandemic. You know, shops and businesses can open to customers more, but the kind of online presence isn't going to go away. That's going to become even more important because people's buying methods have changed. You know, stuff that we perhaps bought in person, we are now actually quite happy to buy online, or, you know, click and collect or whatever. And I don't think that's going to go away. So it's for those businesses that perhaps haven't yet embraced that change, then they certainly need to. And, you know, if you are a product-based business on Instagram or Facebook, then very much get your Facebook shop set up and you know, start capitalizing on that. It's fairly straightforward to do. And it's just another way to make life easy for people to buy products and services. So hopefully, I think it's more, rather than too much big change, it's just people embracing the change that's happened and just learning how best to use that. In terms of other changes, I think again, it's what I've been saying to people is to revisit your target audience. Again, with sort of buying patterns having changed, it's just making sure that the target audience are still who you think they are, and they are buying in the way you think they are, just to make sure you are, you know, in the right places to be seeing them. So definitely kind of going back to kind of fundamentals, looking at the basics, making sure you know who your target audience is, where they are, and that you're doing the right stuff to reach them. Another change, again, we saw this last year, and everything I've read, it's going to become even more important this year, is going live. Now I know a lot of people, myself included, not a great big fan of doing that personally. It feels very sort of a brave kind of step to take, but again, it's great because it's a really good way of people getting to see the person behind the business. It's a great way of hosting Q&As, or taking people on a day in the life of, or this is what the business looks like, or this is what I'm up to. It kind of really gets people to sort of understand your business, what you're about, and gives them a glimpse of the business. And people love that kind of immediate, digestible kind of information that they can take away. So I think, again, that's going to be another trend. I think that will continue to grow. So if you haven't gone live already, then try and bite the bullet and do so. You know, a good thing about that is that it doesn't need to be a polished, prepared for speech that, you know, you've rehearsed 10 times. Just go live for a couple of minutes and just let people see kind of what reality is.
Yeah.
I think something else as well, I mean, it's always been important in terms of customer reviews, but again, more than ever, people are looking online for testimonials, for feedback, for people who've had a good experience with a business, especially when they can't kind of get out and see the business themselves. And perhaps at the moment we are a bit more removed from things. Again, someone's word of mouth opinion on a business is just worth its weight in gold. So I've been sort of saying to businesses, if you aren't already asking for testimonials after any sale or product experience, then make sure you do. And equally, make sure you then share those in your marketing activity, because the people can see, because it's so important. I think never been more now. You know, just build it into a step in your customer journey, whereby at the end of purchase, you just automatically ask for it. You know, I think people are only too happy to give that kind of feedback, you know, especially when it's positive. And if it isn't positive, then great, you can learn from it. That's something you can do. You can change things.
Yeah, it's a matter of asking, isn't it? Like you say, because people, it's sort of human nature that if there's a negative experience with a company, people will quite often automatically share that. But the good experiences, you do actually have to just go and ask people for those.
Yeah,
really good point. Yeah.
And people are happy to give them. You just don't necessarily think of doing it unless you're asked. So yeah,
exactly. I think I just go back to your point on going sort of revisiting your target audience and looking at your basics, because that's a really good point. Because what, you know, I've seen just from my own family how the older members of the family are now buying more online because they can't go to the shop. So there's this new and, you know, I had to teach some of them, you know, my mum, for instance, how to do, you know, online shopping. She's worried about safety and that kind of thing, which is, you know, fair enough. So there's a whole new group of people who are purchasing online now, and it's it's definitely worth looking at that for sure.
That's it. And, you know, even if it is reassuring them about the sort of security measures your website has in place, because like you say, these are people that, for whatever reason, haven't been buying in that way before. So sort of go back to the basics and make sure they that kind of reassurance that it's all fine to shop in. Yeah,
Definitely.
One thing, this is probably quite an important point for small businesses, is that often you sort of set up your pages on social media, everyone's so focused on follower numbers and page likes, and there have been changes so far with sort of the likes of Instagram trying to move away from like a focus on that. I think people unnecessarily get hung up. They look at their competitors and say, oh, so and so's got 10,000 followers, I've got 1,000, what are they doing that I'm not? But, you know, it's kind of, it's not the metric to focus on. What you want to be looking at is who's engaging with your posts, how are they engaging, what action is being taken after someone sees your post, are they clicking through to your website or messaging you? And there's a lot of sort of posts I see that say invite your friends to like the page, so you get seen more, and it just doesn't really work. It's just not the best way of going about it. I think first of all we have to accept perhaps social media, growing your own profile and accounts can be a bit slower than you might like, but that's fine. But inviting lots of random people to like your page isn't going to help your business, because if they're not your target audience, they're not going to be interested in what you've got to say, they're not going to comment or engage with it, and they're certainly not going to buy your products. And all that does is sort of overinflate your follower numbers, but actually negatively impact your engagement rate even more, because Facebook sees all these people that like your page, but yet they're taking no action on your content. So I always very much say, don't worry about the numbers. Yes, obviously, it'd be nice to have all the 5 people liking your page, but let's just build it up naturally, organically, and make sure that whatever followers you have, they are interested, they are your target audience, and they do want to hear about what you've got to say and buy your products and services. So very much say to anyone, just move on from the numbers and the follower numbers and just focus on actual engagement and action that's being taken. That's definitely sort of hopefully a trend we'll see more of this year, but a recommendation I just like to sort of remind people about, really.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, thanks for that one, Claire, because it's something that I see quite often with my clients, and they'll say, oh, we've got this many thousand people following us, but our competitors have, like, well, we don't really know if they're any good, like, for them. Like, it's not about those numbers.
No, that's
brilliant.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask is, how there are often sort of changes and updates and maybe like banned hashtags and things like that. Where can people look to find like the most regular information?
Yeah, sure. There's quite a few blogs and websites to follow. One I do quite like is Social Media Today. I think I signed up. I get like a daily notification, so it gives latest updates, news, as well as giving you links to other articles and sort of research that's happened. Certainly, any others. There's quite a few Facebook groups you can join, but I like to sort of just have something that pings into my inbox and I can make sure I read it. So Social Media Today is certainly a good place to start with. But I'd definitely say don't sign up to too many, because often they will just share the same stuff and you will just get massively overwhelmed.
Yeah, we'll get plenty of emails anyway, but that's a really good tip. Thanks. I'll look into that. Have you got any sort of thing overall you want to share with people? I really like your tips. I'll write them out and I'll post them with the video. So
I guess mainly sort of 2 sort of smaller tips, but it's just, again, I guess drawing on trends and what we've seen in 2020 with Black Lives Matter and obviously increasing concerns around environment and sustainability, is that people are more conscious about the brands that they're choosing to do business with, and those that are demonstrating inclusivity and sustainability. That's going to be of increasing importance this year. So wherever possible, make sure that your communications, your messages, and what your business is about is very much demonstrating what you're doing in those areas.
I totally agree. It's also with sort of my PR hat on, it's making sure they're like genuine. They're like genuine things they're doing with the business, because I also see that other side of it, and consumers are not that stupid. Everybody can tell if it's like a genuine thing or not.
No, you're absolutely spot on. Rather than sort of trying to force something to tick a box because it looks so obviously done, just try and make it part of the way you do business.
You're right. And I think I think from that trend from the first lockdown, where people had, like, this time we haven't had so much kind of time, I feel maybe it's the time of year, like it was quite novel, wasn't it, lockdown 1, and the world slowed down. People did start to think about how they purchase and how they which brands they interact with, and that will carry on, definitely, and that's a good thing, really good thing. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time, Claire.
No
It's been a
problem.
pleasure talking to you.
No, thank you for having
And
me.
I'll share your details. Oh, it's great. I love these chats, and I'll share your details. Then people can, if they've got questions, then people can ping a social media question to you.
Absolutely.